Hi, good evening, and welcome to the Israel's daily Kitzur Shulchan Aruch Shir. We're going to start Siman Yud Beis, Hachanas Haguf, Litvila, Umakom Sheroy Leisparel, the preparing of one's body to daven, and places where it's appropriate to pray. Although Tesvav Seifim, it contains 15 Seifim. Today we're going to look at the first 5. Seif Aleph. We start with a pasuk from Amos, prophet Amos, Ksiv, Hikoin Likras Elekecha Yisrael, prepare to greet your God Yisrael. Pirish, that means Sheyochin Esatzmid of Hashem Yisparach, that the person should prepare himself before Hashem. Sheyalbish Esatzmid Malbushe Kavod, that a person should dress in appropriate clothing. Kushaholech Leisparel, Kamishaholech Lefnei Sar Nichbad. A person should dress appropriately when he goes to daven, as if he would do when davening, when he has an appointment, when he's meeting with someone, with an impressive officer, the president, the prime minister. But I feel even if a person is davening alone, by himself, at home, the should dress appropriately. And in places where the custom is to go with a belt, here he's talking about something like a gartel. Also, a person mustn't daven until he girds himself, until he puts a gartel on. The Shulchan Aruch Harav adds that one shouldn't daven barefoot, or even just with sandals without socks. The Mishnah Berurah says nor should one wear boots if one won't appear before someone dignified. And the Mishnah Berurah here advises wearing a hat in addition to one's yarmulke, in addition to one's kippah. There's an interesting story Rav Schwab used to say. He was going to Mincha once, and there was a businessman wearing a suit. And this businessman who was Hasidic had forgotten his gartel. So he took his tie off and used it as a gartel. He wrapped the tie around his waist. And Rav Schwab commented that what the man did was incorrect. Nowadays, a gartel is a lovely minhag, but it's not a part of a person's dress. However, a tie is an integral part of a person's dress, certainly for a businessman. And for many people, if they're not wearing a tie, they're not fully dressed. Therefore, the man would have been better off leaving the tie on and not davening with the gartel, because the gartel is just a minhag, whereas the tie could be min hadin, certainly according to the Shulchan Aruch. Seif base. It is appropriate to give tzedakah before davening. Shenemar, as it says in Tehillim, Ani b'tzedek echad lefanecha, I will look at your face with righteousness, with tzedek. Likewise, a person should accept upon himself before every davening the mitzvah of loving one's fellow like themselves. Many Sidurim have it printed in, a little Hareini Mazamin, that's me, I'm going to prepare myself to. It's a really reminding oneself to take on the mitzvah of after the Kamoicha. The person should intend to love everyone, every Jewish person just like himself. And here we get to a little Kabbalistic. Because if there is disunity amongst hearts of Israel, amongst us down here below on earth, then also there'll be no unity in the spiritual realms. Aval, however, but somehow unity down here on planet Earth causes that in Shemayim there will be a hisachtos and unity and closeness of the souls up above. And this also causes the tefillas to be unified. And when the tefillas are unified together, that makes them more desirable before Hashem. Seif Gimel. Shlomo Melech wrote, guard your legs as you go to the house of Hashem. And Chazal explained this pasuk to mean that this is a polite way of saying the openings near your legs. And therefore, a person needs to check himself before davening to ensure that he doesn't need to excuse himself. If you look at if a person feels even a little that he needs to excuse himself, he is forbidden to daven. Likewise, when a person's body, when a person feels unclean about himself, he's not even allowed to learn the words of Torah until he's cleaned himself. However, In Mispalo Kashu Nitzrach Linakov, if a person did daven when he needs to excuse himself, if a person estimates that he would be able to hold himself back, how long it would take to walk a parasah, which is about 72 minutes, tefillah, then his davening actually does work. He doesn't need to daven again. V'im lav. However, if not, if he feels that he needs to go and he can't hold himself back for that length of time, if a person had davened, then his tefillah is considered abominable and he needs to daven again. However, some people say that it's a smaller shear, that if a person can hold himself back a parasah, that if he can wait 72 minutes, that he can daven lechatchila. And certainly a person, if necessary, can rely on this. If by waiting until he excused himself, he would be over on the Zman Tefillah, that means he would daven and it would be too late to daven. For more details, see later on. Sif Dalad. Misha Boriloi, She'eni Ochalamed Alatzim Elafiach, Ad Jigmer Greshmat Tefillah. A person who is certain that he will be unable to prevent himself from passing gas until he finishes saying the Siman or Shemona Esra. Mutav Shiaber is man Kriyash Tefillah, Mimash Yespalo B'Leguf Noki. It is better that he doesn't daven Kriyash Tefillah before the appropriate time than to daven with a body that isn't clean. Vim Avar Zman Tefillah, Anasu, or Mashlim Achakach. And if, as a result of this, the time of davening or the time of Kriyash Shema passes, he is considered an oines. That means that it's a total accident, and in such a case, he can compensate afterwards. We'll see later on. If a person believes that he can hold himself back for at least as long, for the few minutes it takes to say Shema, then he should wait to put his tefillin on until right before Shema and makes a bracha on them. Sif Hey, a person needs to wash his hands up until the wrist before davening. And therefore, even if a person washed his hands in the morning, if a person touched and something undirty upon himself, that means in the parts of the body that are normally covered, that are normally sweaty, or scratched his head, or for some reason he didn't wash them properly in the morning until the wrist, then he needs to wash them again before davening. What if he doesn't have water? Then he needs to carry on traveling 4 mil. A mil is approximately a kilometer, so it means 4 kilometers. Or 1 mil behind him. The Shulchan Aruch is talking about someone who's traveling. He needs to carry on traveling or go back 1 kilometer. If a person's not traveling, then otherwise it's about 1 mil in every direction. A person should travel about 1 kilometer to find water. But if a person is scared that as a result of traveling, it will be too late for him to daven, then he should wipe his hands on stones or dust or anything else that will be able to clean his hands, and then he should daven. As it says in Tehillim, I will wash my hands in cleanliness. Which means Erchat Bamayim, the first part of the pasuk, I will wash my hands in water if I can, Ve'im Lav, and if not, if there is no water available, then with cleanliness, meaning B'chol Midi Dimenaki, with anything that I can clean my hands with. Thank you for watching.